Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Luke Cage, Season 1, Episode 4. It's called Step Into the Arena, and full spoilers, as always. So, this was a break from the main story for the most part, because this was a flashback episode.
Yeah, obligatory flashback episode. I feel like they all have one.
Although, to be fair, I feel like Luke Cage needs it more than other ones, because Luke Cage, because he was in Jessica Jones first, and he already, had his powers and stuff, we never actually got an origin for him.
We didn't, but did we need one? Just genuine question. Did he need an origin? Did we need to see it? Not that it was bad, but did we need to see it?
Yes.
Okay, why?
It's less about how he got his powers and more about there's a lot of things in his past that have been alluded to. So I'll expect more flashbacks at some point. And I feel like, why is he in prison? How is he framed? Because we still don't even know the answer to that now. That wasn't answered in this. But it gives us more of that. It shows us how he meets his wife. It shows how that relationship starts, how he ends up with the name Luke Cage. So I do think his backstory and revealing more of it is important. Whether or not we need a whole episode devoted to it in one big flashback like this, or if it could have been spread out, is another question. But
Yeah,
I do think we needed some of his backstory filled in.
fair enough.
But yeah, so yeah, most of this is in the prison, the Seagate prison, which is where Luke Cage went when he was framed. And we also found out he used to be in law enforcement. He used to be a cop or something similar.
Which makes sense, actually. It was alluded to a little bit earlier. I think it was Pops said, "Oh, you used to find people," and it was something to that effect, anyway. And now, obviously, it's he used to find people as a cop.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's a good moment of tension as well because, as soon as the guard says that, all the other prisoners all sort of look over and are like,
Yeah, you can feel everyone just on edge, and it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. However, he does make a point of saying that anyone he put away didn't go here. Like he's went to a completely different.
So he doesn't have any personal grudges held against him in this one, just more the general fact that he was a cop.
Yeah, and by the way, I was loving the bigger his hair got, the more I was loving his unkempt look is very different from a lot of other men. Everything just got bigger. Like his beard grows out, his hair grows up and out. Very big and bushy. It was it was it was daunting. It was a daunting set of hair. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, a very drastic change from the baldness that we're used to.
Yeah. I mean, I thought your hair was lively.
Oh, mine used to grow more outwards than it does now. Mine used to go more like that.
Yeah,
but it stopped.
No, I did like this episode. I thought it wasn't afraid to get pulpy. There was a lot of moments because obviously the part of the big plot here is that the head guard is corrupt and well they're all corrupt because they're all in on it. But he's leading this group of guards and they have this fighting ring where they take prisoners downstairs and they have them fight each other and he sort of blackmails Luke into doing it. He's not called Luke just now, actually. He's called Carl. That's a fair point.
Carl Lucas.
Carl Lucas. And he it's when he goes down there for the first time and there's this zoom in shot to Luke and then there's a zoom in shot to the guard as the guard smiles and it felt very pulpy and very it felt very 70s.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it felt like. And I was good. It gave it again. It felt it almost didn't it wasn't too dissimilar to that little flashback we got a couple of episodes ago with Pop and Cottonmouth and
it wasn't quite as extreme as that.
Yeah,
but it definitely had a different feel to the present day stuff.
Yeah, it felt old. So obviously, it's actually not a few years ago because Luke references Rihanna and Beyonce and whoever.
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, so it's obviously not that long ago, but it's It has a different feel and it felt very pulpy. So yeah, I thought the plot is pretty simple really, as far as the flashback goes. He wants to try and bring down the guard, but they, including Shades is in there, and it makes sense why I didn't recognise Luke when I first seen him. Now that we've seen him with the big hair and the big beard, and
Yeah.
he obviously looked very different. And so Shades is in there, and Shades tries to rough him up with this other guy, but they go to his buddy that he meets in the prison that he sort of bonds with, and they have this Jet Li or Bruce Lee argument and all that. But they threaten him, and they actually kill him in order to give up what Luke is planning, and it all leads to him having the crap beat out of him to a point where he's probably going to die from his injuries, and that's when Reva, yeah, she gets this doctor who's been doing experiments in the prison, which they've been sort of teasing throughout the episode. Is like, oh, there's all these rumors of these weird things going on here.
And she's obviously like a group therapist and's been like denying it.
Well, that's the other big thing is there's this, and it's probably the heart of the episode is him bonding with her.
Yeah.
Throughout the episode, because they go to these group meetings and she tries to get him to open up, and as soon as they have a one-on-one, and she says if you are innocent or something to that effect, and he doesn't even say anything, but the look on his face tells her he actually is.
Yeah.
And she just knows, and it's that, so they build this bond between them. This it can almost go unspoken, and obviously by the time that the guard realizes that he cares for her and she becomes threatened, he goes to her and tells her to get out and so on and so forth. But she convinces this doctor to try and save him in this experimental, accelerated healing tank thing, which is actually really goofy.
It is surprisingly goofy. I wasn't expecting anything like that.
Because the show so far, as much as it's been pulpy in places, has been very down to earth. I mean, even though the guy's bulletproof and picking up car doors, it's got a very, very sort of real sense of grit to it. Whereas the
shot, what this reminded me of?
X-Men.
Yeah. It looks straight out of X-Men too.
Because it was the shot of after there was some rubble and explosions of the lights and stuff, and the camera's tracking in to the tank. It felt like it was right out of the Weapon X stuff from the X-Men movies.
Did.
And so this feels really, really goofy all of a sudden. It didn't take me out of it. I was it's fine, he has to get his powers,
but it was noticeably out of place.
It was. Although, did you enjoy the little nod and wink to his old costume?
I did. And then him saying, what was it? It looks stupid or something like that.
You look ridiculous or something. Yeah. And we got the origin of the name, and I don't have a whole lot to say about this. I think a couple of points. One thing that's been coming up frequently throughout the show is Luke's sort of aversion to racial language and stuff like that, and that comes up again here. And even when the guard first makes him the offer, you'll get perks if you go in this fighting ring for me. It's a good deal, and he's like, yeah, it always appears to a good deal to the slaver. Just his attitude and all that kind of stuff is sort of seeping in throughout, and it's working really well in that sense. So other than a little bit of goofiness with the reveal, and this is maybe one where I do think the pacing was back to a little bit off. I
think it's because I think personally it would have worked better to split up these flashbacks. I think having an entire episode if they are going to do an entire episode, I'm glad it's now and not later in the season.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it was the right choice overall. I think it just dragged everything. We had this momentous moment at the end of the last episode, like that rocket launch going. You want to see that, you want to explore that stuff, and then, oh, never mind. You can see it in another episode's time. And we got little bits, obviously, but nothing. Yeah,
really. we got them trapped under the rubble, and Misty Knight's outside with the cops and the firemen and all that, and they're trying to sort through the rubble and all that. I did like how it intercut between him breaking out of the prison when he gets his super strength too.
That is the one moment I particularly enjoyed the flashbacks for, the way they were played is that intercutting at the end.
Yeah. I will agree it slowed things down doing this whole episode in the prison. I'm not sure how I'd have split it up though.
That's the thing, because obviously you want that ending moment to intercut with this, so you still would have had to have had all this over the last 3 episodes, and 4 England this.
You'd have to simplify the the whole plot with the fighting ring down to like a couple of scenes. You'd had to have boiled it all down.
You would have had to cut a bit out of it, yeah.
And I think at that point, though, it's like, does the whole thing then feel goofy because you're not giving it enough time? You know, we've criticised other shows for having flashbacks where it feels like they do like these entire stories in like 2 or 3 scenes, and it feels really forced.
Yeah.
So I think there's pros and cons to both methods.
It's kind of a problem either way. It's a hard situation to win.
I think had that story itself been a bit more captivating, I wouldn't have cared. But it just, the stuff with the head guard, I just wasn't as interested in. Whereas the stuff with the wife, the stuff with Reva, like, that was interesting. There was like an emotional connection there, and we got Luke, you know, from whatever happened before he went to prison. You seen him like sort of have an arc, and he changed, and that made that story.
I agree.
Engrossing.
There was good stuff there, but every so often, it did tend to be during the guard stuff. I found myself going, I really wish I could see what was happening in the present day, like, and exploring the aftermath of what just happened instead of this. And you know, that is a bit of a problem. I think it is just the pacing issue, combined with the fact that they needed to tell this story in flashbacks and just get it done with.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I could maybe say is if you rewrote it so that it did work in chunks rather than a whole thing, maybe you could have done something similar to what Mr. Robot kind of did in season 2 of that, where you have like the flash, maybe one part of it at the start of each episode building up the story of the origin as it went along the season.
Yeah, also noticeably, this was the first one without any pre-credits stuff.
Oh, no, episode 1 was that as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. But usually once you get into that, that's kind of just, that's it then on. This felt off, it felt odd going straight into it.
I guess. But yeah, we get some present day stuff, and we get Luke breaking out, and you know, that's pretty much it. Misty's like thinks it's of course Cottonmouth, but she's looking for proof. They're looking at traffic cameras and things like that, and can't quite get enough to deal with it. Scarf's up to no good getting the footage, presumably for Cottonmouth, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also,
you do have the good moment at the very end.
Yes.
Obviously, where the news people are all asking him who he is, and he finally steps up and comes out as who he is, and it's like, that's kind of the moment we've been talking about that we knew was coming as the Western, where he steps up and accepts it.
Well, yeah, because in the comics he's like a very public hero, like he's very known for what he does.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to get to that point, and I think in that sense this is where the flashbacks throughout the whole episode actually kind of work, because the flashbacks of the story of him getting into hiding and him having to shy away from things, and you know, becoming more, and even the conversation he has with his wife in prison, where she's talking about him being the non-talking version and being the self-contained and not wanting to connect to anyone. Like it actually you know, contrasts nicely with the story in the present of him fighting his way out of the rubble once more, but this time he turns around and says what his name is.
Yeah. No, thematically it's a very good link there.
Yeah. Just pacing. I think honestly you could probably just again cut like 5 minutes out of it and just tighten it here or there, and it might have not been as, you know, might have flowed just that bit better.
Yeah, I was going to say this was the weakest episode yet for me.
Okay. I don't know. I'd have to really sit and think about it.
Fair enough.
The only thing I know for sure is that 2 is my favourite still, but that's all I can say.
Yeah.
So now that's episode 4 of Luke Cage, the flashback edition. Look forward to more. We'll have more later today. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll make this short and sweet. If you're watching all of these, especially if you're watching the playlist, you'll get sick of us doing the intros and outros. So more Luke Cage coming. We do more Marvel shows. There'll be links in the corner. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.